If you've got £50,000 or more saved and you're thinking about property investment, you're not alone. But most people, even the smart ones, still get it wrong sometimes. They chase the hype, they skip the homework and end up with over-leveraged money pits or properties they regret owning. I'm an accountant and also a landlord. And I love property, don't get me wrong, but I don't romanticize it. In this video, I'm going to share what I believe are the real risks, smarter options, and overlooked opportunities for people looking to invest in the UK in 2025. The biggest mistake I see are people who assume that buying property equals making money. They've seen TikTok and YouTube saying, just buy a house, rent it out, boom, passive income, money streaming in, or use other people's money and it's all profit. But they miss the key variable. Profit is in the planning, not just the buying. Bad numbers equal bad investment, no matter how good the kitchen looks. If you've got, say, £100,000, should you buy one property in cash or should you split it in two and get two properties with a mortgage? There's pros and cons to both. The pros of buying cash: no mortgage stress test, lower risk, especially with the interest rates doing whatever they have been doing. Cash flow is simpler and stronger month to month. And you have leverage with sellers because quick buy. But here is the catch. Your return on capital might be lower and you tie up a lot of money in one asset. So you're secure but not growing fast. It just means that all your eggs are in one basket. Whereas mortgage properties can grow faster, but they carry more moving parts. Just lenders, interest rates, stress tests, risk of voids, more admin and more exposure. The smart play: there isn't really one right answer, there is a right answer for you. You have to look at your risk appetite, your time and your exit strategy. You have to look at your own specific situations, I'm afraid. There is the idea that if you own more than one property, you're the shark, you're the slamlord, that you're driving up rents, profiting off the housing crisis or preying on the vulnerable. That's not what I believe and it's not what I do. I invest in property because it gives people a place to live, a quality place to live. I run clean and compliant, high standard rentals. And it creates long-term security, not just for me, but also for the tenants. And I manage my finances responsibly. Being a landlord comes with responsibilities, legally as well as ethically. You can invest in property without being a predator. And you can make money without making tenants miserable. If you've got capital and want to avoid the same tired buy-to-let grind, there are some under-the-radar strategies worth exploring. There's serviced accommodation, basically your Airbnb, which means you can get a property, you can get a second property, or you can rent out a place in your own home. It involves a lot of admin, but there's some strong returns available, especially in a tourist-heavy area. So do your research, and I recommend good photos. Commercial to residential, so if you buy old shops or even warehouses and convert them to flats or studios, that could be your business strategy. The planning permission and planning permits, they're a bit of a nightmare, so you have to know what you're doing or surround yourself with people who have done it before or who are very knowledgeable about it. There's a lot of risk and capital needed up front, but there's a huge potential for some very high profit margins. Property funds, that just means that some people put properties together and then if you invest in, you get share of the dividends. So those are regulated and very tax efficient because you can do it through ISA. So this is what you do for dividends and for growth without the exposure and responsibility. Then there's the buy, renovate, refinance and repeat. If you do this right, you not only save old properties, but you can also make a lot of money. But make sure that you budget twice the amount of money than you think it's going to take and 3 times the amount of time you think it's going to take. It also helps if you have an interest in DIY or if you know how to do certain renovations yourself, because building costs are quite high. I'll go deeper in each of these in my future videos. It would help me if you could comment down below and tell me which one you're interested in the most. Now about my story, so every property I've bought taught me something different, but they have taught me something, every single one. Some of them I'm really proud of, and that's strong cash flow, ethical tenancy, low stress, but others are more headaches than they're worth. They're all worked for me in the end though, because I ran the numbers properly. I don't live in a dreamland. I plan for worst case. It's not about being a pessimist. It's just wondering, do I survive the worst case scenario? And if I do, it's worth doing. And I treat it as a business, not a lottery ticket. One more thing that's very important, it's about the people as well as the profit. So sure, I am a business owner, but I really care about the people that I provide housing for, and I'm trying to do what's best for them, because long term, that just provides security for them as well as me. So I know I mentioned at the beginning of the video £50,000, but that is definitely not the amount of money you need in order to start property investment. I'm not going to be the one to tell you that you can start with zero cash, but I'm also not going to want to discourage you from going into property investment journey. I encourage you to go with intention as well as ambition. My advice would be to avoid the hype and learn from people who've actually done it and got the spreadsheets to prove it. So not just every TikToker out there. Let me know in the comments what you're planning to invest next and what you'd like me to cover in the next video. Subscribe for more smart real-world videos on finance, small business and building wealth without losing your head or your ethics.